Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome to episode 6 of DeGodCast, the podcast for DGens by DGens. Today is April 5th. It's JB, part of your... Well, we're not a trio today. Slate, little sick, not with us, but it's all good. Prayers up for the homie. Rugged. I know I say this every time that we have a very special guest today, but this time, I fucking mean it. I think this is our most anticipated guest since episode 1 of the pod, when we found out that they had been LARPing as a chick the whole fucking time. If you've been paying attention, you already know who it is, and we gonna get there. But before that, the recap and a quick message from our sponsor. Go ahead, Chapter.
Yo, this week's recap is sponsored by Mickey DeGods, the original DeGod sub-community. Are you aching with burning hunger for dust? Well, you're not the only one. Staking Mickey DeGod NFTs is the only other way to passively accrue dust, and that's on the set. Come on down to Mickey DeGods and create your own combo to stake them from them sweet-ass dust gains. They promise that dust has never tasted so good. Follow Mickey DeGods on Twitter or see Discord server for details. Mickey DeGods, they're fucking burning it. Salute to them. But back to the show. Just want to say, the Day of the Dead pushed us over the edge, and all my friends have said they jealous of your boy's double diamond necklace. Y'all don't know what this feels like. Yo, what else? Peace to Mateo, elite author, Clown Squad. We seen the thread. But for the recap, first, the Don Dada top shotter, the God sales bot, got eclipsed for the first time since February by the new bully in town, Dead Gods bot. DGB TBT hit the ground full sprint, leaving no escape for the eyes of the mindless scroller as hella ominous red and light background PFP storm the timelines and feeds of everybody with an internet connection. That's bodies on top of bodies. When dark mode. Nah, but last weekend, in the days that followed, literal thousands of DeGod holders approved transactions in every time zone on Earth to have their beloved JPEGs reinvented, reimagined, and fucking reborn by the pseudonymous trinity that some of y'all didn't even know existed. Bruh, Scumzilla, King Candy, the elusive, illustrious, bro, you know, we'll get to the artists, the art, y'all know who's here. But anyhow, I just happened to spot rank 646, one of the cleanest fucking DeGods algorithmically generated, finding a new home this morning. The nastiest posthumous DeGoat chains hands this AM for 725 Solana, and on my mama, that's a fucking gem. Salute to the homie Sea of Green for contextualizing the acquisition. Big play. But the sales bot appears to be on that demon time, as these motherfucking all-time highs have returned. I got noties on my girl's phone. Her battery is our battery. Secondly, the new rules got released in the form of detailed infographics expounding the upcoming protocols for those ruminating over death and dying, torching these motherfucking DeGods, as well as the huge announcement of the long-awaited destination for y'all to let off that full clip of exiles once and forever. Soon, holders will be able to hop on an app, add DeGods to a burn queue to be immutably fixed in line for incineration, allowing burners to receive the predetermined dust amount tethered to their burnt DeGods rarity, 1 burn per day. Commons going first. Stay woke. Oh, and caskets were for sale this week, or should I say free, as many transcended for a rack of dust, but funeral costs about to rise, starting this upcoming weekend by 3.33 dust per day until the first halving, but y'all can do that math. So next week, if you only got 1,000 dust and you scrolling around thinking about transforming, boy, you not about to die with your broke ass. No, I'm just playing. Check the current rates. Exiles can be queued up too. Random daily burns, 333. In other news, Magic Eden marketing head Tiff, or at Theophana on Twitter, went on record in a new Decrypt article announcing that the Dust Protocol token will be integrated into their marketplace, allowing dust holders, or even better, motherfucking DeGods, to purchase any NFT listed on ME in, you know the vibes. First there was dust, then there were housekeepers. Dead God staking is live. 30 dust every 1,440 minutes, and almost instantaneously, the critically acclaimed Dior application beta has now been updated to show all your unclaimed dust balances for staked Dead Gods, DeGods, claimed, unclaimed. Bruh, Finn's baby turned into a fucking monster. Bro, if only 1 dust equaled 1 dust, oh wait, it does. Oh, and this just in. The guy just announced that the DAO will be refunding all gas fees correlated with bridging ETH to Sol if funds are used to buy DeGod for the next 3 days to help trim the gap in the entire NFT ecosystem and onboard everyone onto Solana. There's even a tutorial. We'll link it in the description. Shit is limited time. The bar's rising. Number 1 project on Solana right now. Fucking Shaq Diesel, number 34 himself, pulled up last night in the chat to say what's up. Shit's fucking wild. God chat going crazy. Shout out to the homies that got the fucking leather jackets with the dark shade combinations. High key jealous, but I know y'all hands gonna get weak. Did someone say OpenSea? No Moses. NFA. Dior. We pulling up in all the fucking stores. Yo, let's fucking go.
Holy fuck, dude. All right, Jesus Christ. I mean, yeah, it was a fucking busy week, so that is an appropriately busy recap, but holy fuck, when you hear it all at once, it's kind of unreal. Yeah, nailed it, drilled it. We had some breaking news as we were setting up for this. Fucking Gary V on the Twitter calling out Frank for not being at, I think it's Solana, Miami, and cannot confirm or deny, but Frank might be about to hop on the Mickey DeGod's jet to fly down to Miami real quick because he can't refuse an opportunity to miss his fucking hero, Gary V. So,
yeah, word.
Crazy
all
shit
those times
popping.
he was standing in line and shit, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, getting called out now on Twitter by name. Unreal. Well, not real name, but it is what it is. So, yes, fucking incredible week for everybody. Like, holy shit. And we have, I don't know if you could say the evil genius behind the whole thing, the fucking
Godfather,
the one and only, the one who may or may not have brought this mass funeral upon all of us. I use the man, the myth, the legend a lot, but this time it's literally the man, the myth, because at one point he was a woman, and the legend, Delilah. How you fucking doing, bro?
Dude, I'm doing fucking good. How you guys doing?
Absolutely
bro,
fantastic. Hyped. My brain is damn near fried just from the activity of this week and what's it's been like leading up to Dead Gods and now Dead Gods, and then it's been fun. It's been fucking crazy, but it's been fun. So,
dude, yeah, I didn't even know that Gary V thing happened until you just said that right now. That's crazy.
I literally was getting set up talking to Chapter, and I saw the tweet, and it's Mickey, and it's one of the jits that has a video of him on Twitter with Gary V, and Gary V is like, Frank, where the fuck you at? It's not that far of a flight. If you're such a big name in Solana, why aren't you here? And I know Frank is probably pissed about that shit, but hey, that's step one. We're in Gary V's ear now, and once we're in your ear, it's kind of hard to fucking ignore us, right?
Dude, we're all Gary V fans, which is actually pretty sick.
Stands. Yeah.
Let's go.
Hell yeah. So we got Delilah. Like I said earlier, everyone's been looking forward to this shit since episode 1 when Frank doxed you and Taylor sexually and let us know that y'all were dudes and that you were a hot as fuck dude, which I'm going to like get that off the table right now. Can confirm like this might be Harry Styles' fucking doppelganger that we're interviewing here. Like, I'm glad my girl is still at work because she would be pushing my ass out the way right now to get on this interview. But, yeah, good to have you, brother. I'm going to let you just take a second and just kind of, introduce yourself because everyone is very, very excited to hear about you and learn about you. So tell us a little bit about yourself and, maybe kind of what got you to this point, or at least into like NFTs, DeGods.
Yeah, wow. I mean, it's kind of a crazy story. So yeah, I'm Delilah. That's my code name. Yeah, I don't even know how I got into the JPEG business. Like the funny thing is that I'm not really like a visual artist. Like I used to draw a lot when I was a kid, but when we started this thing, I was like just the most artistically inclined out of all 4 of us basically. And so I kind of ended up doing a lot of the art. And then next thing you know, now it's like, I'm on Solana being an artist and it's like, people are like, what do you do? It's like, I didn't even have an iPad. I didn't even have Procreate until we started this thing. But let's see, how did we get here? I grew up in Orange County. I went to school in LA. I met Taylor through my manager at the time because so after college, I was in a band for a few years. And I actually majored in geology in college. I went to grad school for geology for a little bit.
That's rocks for the people that don't know.
Yeah, literally rocks.
Were you trying to like looking at like diamonds or what? Like going for the stones, like
I was trying
gemology?
to find some diamond hands, and I was just like, okay, this is not the right place to look. But yeah, so I can identify if something's a rock or not pretty easily now. I'm like, that's a rock or that's not a rock. But basically, yeah, so I was like, I was doing that. And then basically, honestly, for the last like 4 or 5 years, I've been in a band, like in the music industry. So that's kind of my main thing. Like I make shitty music. That's my normal thing. That's like how I was kind of out in LA and in the world. And it's in a band. We broke up actually right about the time that DeGods was happening. And so at that time, like a lot of things were spinning, but yeah, I'm trying to, there's so many things. What do you guys want to know? What do you guys want?
What kind of music?
We started off really gritty, like rock and roll, like pretty lo-fi, like Black Keys, Arctic Monkeys kind of stuff. And then we kind of transitioned to a little more like indie rock, kind of like MGMT, like that kind of more vibe, like a little more pop. But we did the whole thing. Like we signed a shitty record deal. We drove around the country in a van. So I've been like, to every shitty motel in the United States. We've, played like house parties, slept on couches in Nashville.
Jesus.
Played festivals. We recorded in some cool recording studios. We like randomly played at like Ringo Starr's birthday party one time. Like,
oh shit!
Ever heard of him?
Yeah, he's a cool fucking dude. But yeah, but you for sure never heard of us. We're like small indie band. It's like the whole indie band scene of kind of like playing a bunch of shows, being on the road, doing that whole thing. So yeah, we were kind of doing that for a while. And then, and so then that's how I met Taylor, because Taylor was working on marketing with some TikTok stuff with some artists. And so we kind of met through that. And then we just kind of became boys. And then like, I don't even know randomly how we became friends, but we just kind of started hanging out. And then we moved into like a house in Venice last year. And then now we live in kind of like the Hollywood area, West Hollywood area. And that's kind of where Frank and Finn also happen to live.
Yeah. So you met Taylor first through being in a fucking band. Like this just derailed my entire interview already. Thanks a lot. But so then how did you meet Frank and Finn?
So I actually met Frank again, like we were kind of having some dinner party kind of networking things, and Taylor brought Frank to one of those things. Again, through like my old manager at the time. We were just meeting a bunch of people, and at the time they were working on this kind of like music NFT thing. And so I think we kind of just all met through that. And like, I don't know if we were friends at that point, but it was kind of like, I think we both kind of, me, Taylor, and Frank kind of like started talking about NFTs, started talking about music stuff, and kind of there was something there that was kind of cool. And then I think like a couple months went by. And so Taylor actually was in the entrepreneurship space. And I was kind of in the music space. And I was kind of like, okay, I need to make some fucking money. Like, I don't want to just be in a no-name band. Like, I want to get more into that space, into the more business side. And kind of Taylor was in the opposite, where he was kind of in that space. He had his business and he wanted to get into music and start making music. And so we kind of met in the middle and became friends, like right at that cross section. And so we moved in this spot. We were like hustling, we were making music, and I was like working with my band. He was doing his thing, his solo thing. And then he kind of, again, comes from that business space. So he had the itch to kind of build another brand or build another business. And kind of on the back burner, I do a lot of graphic design and like branding stuff, but I hadn't really done that much of it. But so he was kind of starting to work on this like kind of coffee brand thing, this kind of concentrated thing that does really well on like Amazon, all this stuff. So him and Frank were starting to kind of work on that, because Frank was kind of in that entrepreneurship space as well. And then just because I was in close proximity, I was like, oh, hey, if you guys need to like whip up something, like let me whip it up super quick. And then we kind of started working together on this brand. And that's actually kind of that's how I met Finn. And that's how I met me, Frank, and Taylor really kind of started working together. Was we're building this random coffee brand. And so we almost launched it. We like had the whole thing. We had suppliers, we had bottles, we were like taste testing all these things. And it was pretty cool. We were pretty close.
That sounds dope as fuck, yeah.
And it was
not as dope as an NFT collection worth
still,
millions, though.
yeah, but still, it sounds dope.
So it was cool because like everyone, I'm sure we'll get into it, but like everyone on the team is just so fucking cool, such a killer, so fucking smart. We all like are Naval Maxis, and like he talks about how you want to surround yourself with people that are like high integrity, high intelligence, and like everyone on the team is just 100% that. It's like they're so like they're never gonna do anything other than the right thing, and they're so smart. And so anyways, we kind of started working together and kind of had a good thing going. And then I actually went to Costa Rica for like 2 weeks, and then we moved out of that spot and moved into West Hollywood. And like honestly, the craziest thing is that I don't think DeGods would have happened. I don't think anything would have happened because we didn't plan this out. We just literally both moved, and we are 5 minutes away from each other. And so that's kind of like we could walk to each other's places all the time. And I think we moved in to our spot in like September, and like 10 days into us moving in, I think by that point we were already starting on DeGods. Because we went over, it was just like, dude, it was just the proximity. And that's how kind of we picked the name Delilah too, because I'd walk past Delilah every day. I'd like walk to their place and walk back, and I'm walking past Delilah every day. And it's kind of like, if you're from LA, Delilah is kind of like a bougie club. It's like Drake parties at Delilah. It's like, it was kind of a joke that, oh yeah, we're gonna make this thing, and then we're gonna go get a table at Delilah and do this thing.
Wow.
But,
So we were told Delilah's was a diner down the street.
well, it is a restaurant. It is like is a restaurant. But it's also like a club. Like it's like a
word?
Yeah, it's like
That's
an
just
LA,
how y'all do it in LA, I guess.
It's like a shitty, like, yeah, it's like a LA, bougie club. And I'm not even a huge club. Like none of us are club guys. Like we actually did end up going to Delilah, I think like months after we actually launched. And it's like, I mean, I like to party as much as the next guy. So it was cool to be in that environment kind of, but it was like all these crypto guys in the corner, like wearing hoodies, vaping, talking about dust. Like it was just like all these like super rich foreign guys are there, like girls in 10-inch heels. And like, it was just like such a good juxtaposition.
Yeah.
So we did actually end up going to Delilah, but it wasn't like, it's much more about obviously like the process of building it, but it was
one of our questions from the DeGods community was, what's your go-to food order at Delilah's? But I'm guessing that's not really the situation there.
Yeah, and I've literally been to Delilah like twice.
All right.
It's like, I think my go-to food thing would be a margarita.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, limes are food. Yeah.
Yeah, lime. Yeah, like 2 calories.
Unreal. So did you know that you were like good at art when you were in a band or whatever? Like, did you do any of like your album art, or how the fuck did you become like the artist for the hottest project on Solana?
Well, dude, I mean, like I don't even. So the thing is this, like, I always did graphic design. I was always like doing that functionally, like, because there's always moments you need graphic design, even in a band and all that stuff. But I hadn't really like drawn, like, especially illustration was not my forte. And I used to draw a lot when I was a kid. Like I would draw in class all the time, and I'd draw like cartoons and everything. But I definitely would never have been like, I'm going to be an illustrator, or I'm going to draw super detailed illustrations. And the funny thing about DeGods too, like, I'm sure we'll get into that, but like at first we weren't going to do a new DeGods collection. And we were actually trying to simplify, because we'd seen a lot of projects like Doodles. We've seen a lot of like really cool projects that were able to get like by with that kind of minimalist simplicity. And so I was kind of sold on that. I'm like, bet, a 10,000 project sounds sounds like a lot of work. Like we can make it simple. Like that's kind of more my forte. I can do vector illustration. Like let's go. And then of course we end up doing like a 10x detail version of what we already have, and go on like a freaking psychotic sprint for 2.5 months. But yeah, so I mean, I did a lot of graphic design, and like I was just I literally was just dipping my toe into branding in illustration and stuff. And so like literally the only reason I was the artist on this thing is just because we were all kind of like working together, kind of like again, we were working on that coffee brand, and again we moved in, we were going over there to work on it, and then we heard about one of their friends launching an NFT project. And then we heard about, he pulled it off. He did it in like a week and a half or something. And I think he sold most of it out or whatever. And then immediately we were like, oh, wait a second, we could do this. Like we have everybody already here. Cause like, I was kind of on the graphics side, art side. And like, it was just a really, really diverse and like killer team that we had already in place. Frank with the marketing, Taylor with project management, logistics, Finn with the development, and just like, we all were just kind of glued in already. So we just pivoted like pretty much right away.
Huge pivot, and probably
shit.
the right decision if I had to guess there. Like it's hard to build a community around coffee.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like, and I had never heard of an NFT before, literally until like a week before we started doing this. And it was just cool because I think like we were able to ride kind of the macro wave of Solana NFTs. I think, our team is able to work pretty quickly. So we were able to kind of get something going pretty quickly. And so we were like starting to capitalize, and we got momentum. But at the time too, we didn't know any of this was possible. Like it was just, we were just having the time of our lives because it's just blowing our minds, the kind of response we were getting. And, it was really, really cool. So when we were building DeGods, I think the first thing we were going to do was like Soul Sons or something, like some sort of thing. But we wanted to be like a character. We wanted people to be able to identify with it. We wanted to have traits that people could latch onto. And so we somehow came up with the idea of like gods, like we're all gods, whatever. And then when DeGods was born, Frank did this kind of whiteboard exercise where we all kind of went through like the pros and cons, what we were excited about, what we wanted to do, and kind of what was the main goal of the project. And the cool thing was that for all of us, we'd kind of been doing separate projects, and we'd all kind of, we all have a lot of energy, and we can all like want to start a bunch of things. But the act of actually finishing something, building something, and shipping something, we hadn't all really done that to the capacity we wanted. And so the biggest thing we wanted to do with DeGods was just to launch a successful project. I think at the time we still had PHPT. So we were like, I think our goal was to see like the first burn. Like we just wanted to launch a project, like follow through, make
like
content.
execute.
Yeah. And just execute, because we always had all these ideas. And so it was a really, really cool, special moment because everything just kind of came together, and we were just focusing on building instead of any of the other stuff, which is nice. Obviously, like the minting and all this other stuff has a lot of other benefits, but yeah, we were focusing on building, and that's kind of been the core of what we have kept doing too. So it's really, really cool. The team is just amazing.
So where does the constant need to improve and do better come from? Because obviously, Paperhand Bitch Tax at the time was like kind of this iconic, like never before done or even heard of type deal. But, it ends up that doesn't work. And then so like, who is the one on the team that is like, all right, well, we got to pivot and we got to do the next thing. And we're not going to say, oh, well, our number one kind of idea that we had off rip didn't work. We're going to figure out what we can do better. We're going to think of something new. We're going to pivot, and we're just going to continually try and make this thing work.
I'll say that because I've met a bunch of people in different industries. I'm sure you guys have too. And the amount of times that ego can get in the way of just pivoting or making a better idea. It happens all the time, especially in music industry. Like, oh my God, it's like
Fact.
I've dealt with labels for years, and they all just, their ego gets in the way of just like responding to the marketplace. And so the really cool thing is that I think as a team, we all kind of just had the ethos that we want to listen to the marketplace, and like the marketplace is king, and that it's smarter than all of us. And if it's just like the level of self-awareness on this team is absolutely elite. Like everybody just has such a high level of removing their ego. It's like the definition of strong opinions loosely held, where everybody has an opinion and everybody's a killer, but if it's not resonating and it's not responding with the marketplace, or people aren't fucking with it, it's like, well, then it's not the right answer. Let's figure something else out. And so I think, and of course, Frank embodies that to a T. And I think that when we realized that PHBT wasn't working, it was kind of like, well, fuck, let's try something else. It's like, if it's not working, I don't think, like, none of us were like, oh, fuck, we can't do PHBT. Like, it was so cool. We're just like, oh, this isn't working. And, like, let's figure something else out. So
which sounds so easy when you think about it. Like, oh, this doesn't work. Let's figure out what does. But it's not a common trait, I feel like, to kind of set your pride aside, set your ego aside, and be like, all right, well, we don't know what to do, or what we tried wasn't right. And that's one of the things I feel like that resonates with like Frank's Twitter game, but also just kind of the DeGods community as a whole, is like, we're all very self-conscious that like we're fucking degenerates, and like you guys are smart as shit, great team, but like, yeah, don't know all the answers, but like are willing to admit like we don't know what's going on, but we're willing to figure it out and try and learn what works and what we can rock with. And personally, I feel like that's a trait that I share, and that's something that kind of makes it so easy to gel with the community, is because we're not one of those communities where it's like, I mean, now we have bragging rights, right? But for a very long time, like we didn't have shit to go off of besides each other, really. But even now that like DeGods for the second time in a few weeks is like the number one project on Solana, you don't catch that many people being like, yeah, we're DeGods, we're the shit. Like we're all kind of humble people, I feel like. And that's big time vibe that I get from you, from Frank, and something that I feel like has attributed to how successful you guys have been, and that willingness to kind of be like, all right, this is not the move. Let's figure out what the next move is.
Yeah, word. And I feel it's dope, like that, like the whole like paper hand bitch tax thing, that you guys could just like stop and be objective and essentially reassess, like you were saying about seeing what the market wants, and really just like being objective and moving past like what you were saying about like egos and shit. You know what I mean? Just like really, when I say objective, I mean like focusing on like what the objective is, which is to be, really successful. And I think it's really dope, like, how, all the different things that you guys have came up with. Like, I don't know, you said that you guys do the fucking whiteboard thing. I think that shit's fucking dope.
And so we've gone over the fact that you are just born talented. Apparently you did music for a while, just happened to be like, oh, I can do art and a 10,000, generative collection, not a big deal. So the talent, genetics is what it is. I want to rewind just a little bit, because you were a woman until about 5 months ago. I gotta ask about that. Like, what was it like to be, I know you're not like huge on social media, but like, was it weird for a bit where like everyone thought that you were this like DeGoddess that did all the art, and you were like kind of this like enigma figure, and like, did you have any weird interactions being a woman for a very long time, or what?
it wasn't too crazy, because I wasn't like really in the thick of it. It was kind of like, the only thing that was weird was when people would kind of like refer to me as a girl, or like make things, like make comments or something. And it was like, I'm like, oh God, like this sucks. There's so many like random, I don't know, DMs on Discord, and most of them are like spam of like, hey, check out my NFT project. But
Yeah.
I did see one, like, I don't know, maybe like a few months ago. So this is like before Dead Gods. But someone was just like, hey, do you want to go on a date? And I'm just like, bro, what? I'm like, I'm a person on the internet, on Discord, that like made some drawings or whatever. It's like, you don't even know. I'm literally a guy, and it's like you're wanting to ask me on a date. And it's like, but yeah, that's the only DM I've gotten that's like that I've seen that has been
that you've
like,
seen. Okay. There's gotta be more.
So that was pretty hilarious. And then at a certain point we were just like, okay, we have to dox that we're guys. And we kind of felt bad because I do think, we didn't want to like give anybody the wrong impression. Like we literally didn't know this was going to be possible. Delilah was a place that was really like super close by, and it was just kind of funny. And we're like, oh yeah, we'll have guys, girls on the team, whatever. But yeah, so I mean, honestly, you guys' podcast docs it for us.
That's fucking crazy.
Franks came back and he was just like, yeah, Taylor and Delilah, you guys are guys now. And
yeah, just so you know. Sorry. The diamond lips sank the ship for a second. What is Taylor from? Is that a restaurant too, or?
I don't know where Taylor's from actually.
Just a chick name.
I think it was like, well, because it's kind of like an ambiguous gender name,
Yeah.
There's
Word.
Like Taylor too. So yeah, I don't know where we came up with that. I don't even know where Finn comes from.
Okay, so on the topic, damn, Finn is not real either. That kind of pisses me off a little bit. Finn's my boy, dude. I think Finn has my noties on because he's like the quickest person sometimes.
Yo, Finn's the man, bro.
Yeah, Finn is my fucking dog. On the topic of doxing, can I send a screenshot of your face to the Mickey DeGod's Twitter group chat?
I mean, is that going to be dox? I don't know. Like, I'm not too much of a narc on doxing.
Yeah, like I don't think like if somebody were to ever snag a picture of me, like I wear fucking a hat and sunglasses 90% of the time. So if somebody screenshotted me on the podcast, like that's basically a dox for me. But in my opinion, like if you don't know my full name, it's not really a dox. Like you can see what I look like. If you wanted to put in the effort to figure out who the fuck I am from like a random picture of me, I personally like don't have much to hide. I just think it's kind of the Web3 way. And obviously you are Delilah no matter what you look like. So I just have, the Mickeys have a special bond, and I feel like I owe it to them to just let them know, give them a little alpha per se on how much of a man piece that Delilah actually is.
We'll see how the rest of the podcast goes, and then maybe we'll screenshot.
All right. Maybe we'll do a shoey at the end of the screenshot, at the end of the podcast.
Oh wow, I could have a beer honestly at the end of this, dude. You guys have no fucking idea
how bad you need a beer.
I have been in. First of all, let me get this. I fucking love the shit out of everyone on the team. Like, I cannot talk highly enough of how amazing these people are. Like, I've gotten to know them so well because I've been forced to, because I've been in a prison. But I've seen them like every day. I live with Taylor. I see that guy like 18 hours a day because we like live and work together. Like the coolest, the smartest people. And so like so grateful to be a part of that. That being said, I'm like, I was in a band. I like to be social. I like to go outside. Yeah. I love the sun. I love like like talking to random people, like, and so I've been in like a tech incubator for like 8 weeks or something. And it's it was the hardest I've ever worked for sure. It was like, because we are really adamant about like full immersion and sprints and like being in that mindset, but it was kind of like the worst amount of time where it wasn't like a week or 2 weeks where you can just lock in. It was like 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So you can't really unplug because there's not enough time, but you can't just go full sprint because then you'll burn yourself out. So it's like a 90% sprint.
Yeah, it's a marathon.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah.
So I'm stoked to be free.
My perception was already thrown for a bit of a loop when Frank was like, well, A, he's a man dime, and B, he's like also a gem of a human being. I'm like, well, that's not what an artist is. But then like adding in the band thing, I'm like, how, like, this doesn't make any fucking sense that this guy is like grinding out art for this project. But let's talk Dead Gods for a little bit. So what brought on the art upgrade?
So I think that it was like a culmination of a bunch of things. I think at the beginning of the year, actually on New Year's Day, like so on December 31st, it was me and Frank where we had like a little office at the time, and it was like at night, it was no one's there because it's New Year's, and we were just sitting there trying to figure out like dust sinks. And I don't know if you guys remember, there's like a bunch of small little like pixel projects and games and stuff we were trying to spin up. And I was just like drawing random shit, and we were trying to figure out.
Oh yeah. I remember that. There was like a fucking there was like a file or something. I remember seeing all those. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like we thought it'd be funny if we did like The Bachelor, but like with NFTs, which actually is still kind of hilarious.
And there's like some shit with like clouds or some shit.
Yeah. So we were just kind of making random things to see what would work, and so that was kind of the beginning of this year. We were like, okay, we have this token, and now we have to figure out what people can spend it on and what's like going to be the upgrade. How do we level up the brand, whatever. And so in January, like January 20th or something, we decided to do like a week sprint, and we went to the country. That's kind of our sprint place. And so we got a little Airbnb. We all were just kind of like living in this place for like a week. And we were like, okay, we're going to come up with either like a new project or a new skin or a new something to kind of give people an option for dust or whatever, to add value to the community in a new way. And so I think I don't know if you guys saw some of the early stuff we were doing, but we were thinking of doing like a more sketchy version of the DeGods, and like maybe the doodles, like pastel color palettes, like a cartoonier version. And I was kind of sold on doing something simple because let me tell you, generative art is a fucking bitch. And so we were just kind of spinning our wheels a little bit. And I honestly don't really remember how it came up. When we're all together, the ideas are flying. But at the same exact time, I also was like, guys, I really think the art is holding us back from being as big of a brand as we could be. And it's like, as an artist, one, I think the good and bad is that since I never defined myself as like an illustrator in the past, it was easy for me to be like, yo, I think this art could be significantly improved. You know what I mean? It's like my life's work in this art. And not even to mention that we didn't know what was possible. We did it pretty quick. Like I drew all of those things in like a week and a half. And it's
shit.
I wasn't doing, I had just downloaded Procreate. Like I'd done some digital painting before, like for fun, but I wasn't even using I didn't even have an iPad. I borrowed an iPad for like 80% of the DeGod's original collection. And,
wow.
And so I think I actually bought an iPad after we launched because I was like, okay, I'm going to get my own iPad.
Word.
But, and I didn't even know, like I wasn't using that many references. Like on Procreate, you can add things in and like trace them. It's like, I was kind of just shooting from the hip. And I think that my big thing is that I'm like very much in like an 80 of the 80-20 guy. Like I'll make a bunch of options really quick. I'll get it 80% there, but like that final percentage, those 20%, like that's not necessarily my strength. It's more just kind of like throwing a bunch of stuff on the canvas. And so for the original DeGod's collection, I think, aesthetics aside, because that was something like we wanted to upgrade, I do think that speed and what we were able to do and kind of get feedback from the marketplace and what they wanted, like I'm very, very proud of what we were able to deliver. And I think the bones of it are what resonated. And I think that's why, we were able to build the community with that 80% of it there. But at the same time, there's a lot of things where looking back and around this time in the country, I think the art is holding us back, like certain things like the glow and just the way the color, there's no color palette. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't a vision behind it per se. There wasn't any thematic elements. It was kind of like, let's just throw this against the wall and like have fun with it. And so I think that like anything, Starbucks started off as like a niche Italian espresso place. Like now it's like exclusively like sugary drinks for white chicks in LA. Yeah. So it's like,
word.
They had to change their brand as they expand. And I think I'm like, can we please upgrade to a better color palette? Like, because it's one thing to be faded by people on the internet when it's your best shot, like if you gave your best shot and people are like, hey, this art is pretty mid. It's like, okay, you know what? That's the best I could do. But I knew that we had left a lot on the table. And so I kind of wanted a web redemption for myself, but I also thought we could kind of level up the brand too. So we were actually toying with the idea of doing a new like separate thing, like a cartoon something. And then later we were going to upgrade the aesthetics and maybe get rid of the glow and do other stuff for the original DeGods collection. And so in Palm Springs, I don't even remember how it exactly happened, but at some point late at night, like 10 yerba mates in, those ideas got fused and we just started sketching. And like, I think I sketched some like, yeah, either like, I don't know, like, I think it was the plank trait. I think it was like,
oh, let's go.
something like that. And then it was, and then the lane opened up and then we're just like, oh, let's chase that lane real quick. And then we started kind of killing the gods, and like a lot of the early stuff we, you know, it looked a lot different from what we ended up doing, but it was like, oh, life and death, we killed the gods. And then that from there, that was kind of the spark where we kind of made a couple sketches and then we put it out, and then it resonated and people were like, oh, this is cool. And then from there, we were like the lane. And I think we weren't even going to call it Dead Gods. I think literally 30 seconds before we tweeted it out, I think Frank was like, dead gods. And we're like, yeah, fuck it. And then that's when the lane opened up. So that was like in January when we realized, oh, this is kind of what we're going to be doing. But then became the triple-headed beast of actually pulling it off, which it's kind of funny because, you know, I could rant about this shit forever, but generative art is like the genre of art that sets you up for the most L's, because you have 153 or whatever traits and you have like millions of possible interactions and you can't predict them. And so the only way is you have to be ruthless with like heuristics and rules of like color palettes and like layering rules. And that's why we were so bullish on themes and like kind of deriving it, because really out of necessity, that it's like, how the fuck do we make it all coherent? How do we make it a package? Like you have to have some sort of glue.
Yeah, like a theme.
Yeah. And it's like, and so, yeah, I've been the most stressed for like 8 weeks, because it really is like it's like you're trying to drive across the country. And so you have, let's say you're going from LA to New York, you have 3,000 miles of driving you have to do. And then you have to figure out where you want to go. So you have to navigate. And then it's like you're making the fuel in the trunk while you're doing that. And so it's like 3 problems of like, where the fuck are we going? Like, what kind of style do we want? Like, do we want to get rid of the glow? Do we want to add more? Do we want to do a color palette? There's that problem. Then there's the logistical problem of like, you know, how are we going to pull this off? Are we going to hire people? Are we going to do, you know, this medium? Are we going to use on Procreate? And then if you still solved all those, you still have to go 3,000 miles and drive and crank that shit out. And so dealing with that uncertainty on the fly, because we pivoted a lot of times stylistically, you know, was a crazy problem to solve.
Yeah, we've seen some of the, like a lot of the original leaks or teasers kind of ended up changing in the long run. And I think most of them ended up changing for the better. What would you say was your least favorite of the original traits? And what is your new favorite of the Dead Gods traits? Or maybe it's like a combo of like, what do you think got the best upgrade?
Oh, in terms of like the original DeGods traits?
Yeah, like I mean, you can say plank, but that's kind of a cop out, because I mean, what the fuck was that to begin with? But
yeah, I think the mushroom head was probably my least favorite.
Yep.
And I think Scum was like, I was working on making the mushroom head the exploding thing, and then we were gonna axe that, and then we made like a literal mushroom with like realistic mushrooms going out of it, which was kind of cool. But people still weren't vibing with it. And then I think Scum was like, what if we made a beanie?
Yeah, that's Scum's doing. That's phenomenal. That's a great upgrade.
Because it's just like, the beanie is just so much better. I also think like there's some really cool switch ups. Like I think the fruit roll up to the pipe, I think that was Frank's idea to just like switch it up to something. We were going pretty on the fly. We were pretty cavalier in the first collection. And I think that that's really fun and it was really cool, but we wanted a chance to be like, okay, we know so much more about NFTs now. What does the community want? You know, do they want a fruit roll up or do they want like a cigar? Like probably a cigar or a pipe, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are probably my favorites.
I think mine personally is the forehead diamond. It wasn't like not sick to begin with, but that shit pops now, and the ray coming out of it, I feel like just meshes very well with a lot of the new art and the new backgrounds, especially too the off-white shit. What trait would you say is the most like you have incorporated yourself into that trait? Like if there's one trait that you're like, this shit is fucking me, like this is my dead god trait, what would it be?
I'm trying to think, because a lot of it too was like kind of syncing up all of our styles and kind of getting the middle ground. And so like in the beginning I was drawing a lot of traits and I was kind of more on that, and then towards the end we were all kind of like passing it to each other, and it was a lot more free form, and I was kind of like trying to more oversee if like, okay, is this going to match up with like line thickness and all these different things to kind of make it glue together. And so I'm trying to think of the most me trait. I like a lot of the like early skins, or like I'm trying to think of maybe, yeah, I don't know, maybe like the plank, I guess, but that was like kind of
I
early
love
on.
that.
Like
I heard you had to do with most of like the skins, right? Is that true that you kind of did most of the skins?
yeah, I definitely did a lot of the skins early on, and like there was a little bit of a learning period where we like to get synced up. You know, we ended up going with a style that was kind of similar to somewhat the original collection, and it's not like any style is better or worse. It was just important for us to be consistent, and so a lot of the style in the beginning with Scum and Candy Apple, it was like we all weren't quite synced up. I was kind of like redoing some traits, and we were kind of like there's a lot of growing pains, but then towards the end it was like we were just cooking. Like Scum and Candy Apple were just murking traits left
So a
and
little
right.
bit of like a learning curve, or just a this is the general tone and style that we want to take with it, as far as bringing on additional artists, with which I'm sure like we've all seen Scum's art and we've all seen Candy Apple's art, and like they're fire in their own right, but they are very different styles. So it
Yeah,
a little bit of like a initial, hey, this is kind of the direction we want to go, but after that it was not that difficult for you guys to kind of crank everything out? Or did you guys end up kind of saying, all right, you do these 30 traits, you do these 30 traits, and then we'll come back and just tweak them as need be?
it was kind of like yeah, definitely in the beginning syncing up everybody to the style, because like there's even different brushes you use in Procreate, or and like getting the color palette dialed in. Those were just things where, and even the tone of it, because I think, and even kind of taking a step back, when we first wanted to do this, we really wanted to do it right. And we wanted to be like, okay, this is a new chance for a new generative collection. It's like, what is everything that we know about NFTs? What is everything we know about our audience, the market, what's resonating for the last 18 months? And how do we build something that is like the best NFT project we could build? And so it was kind of a cool opportunity for us to reinvent ourselves and apply everything we've learned. And so from the very beginning, we were like very ruthless with how we derived the like the tone and the traits. Like, was it going to be, the first DeGod's collection is pretty like fun and goofy, and which I think is great and awesome. But like, you know, were we going to make it as goofy, or we're going to make it a little more serious, a little more badass? That was kind of a tonal shift that, you know, when you have different artists, they might interpret like the eye patch, like they might make it like a skull on his eye, which is cool. And that makes it look dead, but it isn't quite as badass as maybe like the bloody bandana thing. And so the skull kind of signals a little more of like, oh, maybe he got this at like we talked about like the Dead God's gift shop. Like we didn't want it to look like you went to like a dead themed underworld store and got like, you know, like a skull glasses. Like we wanted it to seem a little bit more real, a little more like mature tone. And so, and the thing, because yeah, we were just ruthless with that in the beginning, because with the generative art, it's like, it's almost like hitting every, it's like on a break. If you're playing pool, you have to hit every ball in when you have one shot. And everybody has their own opinions. Everybody wants like this trait, that trait, but you really get one shot to kind of generate it all and like have one theme, and then you have to just let it live. And so, yeah, I think like going back to what you're saying with getting the artists on board, there were some kind of tonal shifts too that we kind of had to incorporate, where some of the stuff like maybe was too serious or too gory, and some stuff was too goofy. And it was like us all kind of understanding what we were trying to do took like a few weeks. And like really, yeah, the last like 10 days was kind of when everything started gelling.
That was when the real sprint was.
Yeah, and I was just torched. I'd like never, because another thing about being an artist is like on the team, like I was saying, everybody is really good with their self-awareness. And like as an artist, to remove your ego, it's a little bit harder if you actually give a shit about the art, because you put your soul into it.
Yeah.
And so when you put your soul into the art, being objective means that it's going to get like shit on. It's going to get killed, kill your darling.
Frank tweeted something the other day. Apparently you gave him shit for leaking a bunch of traits. And you said something along the lines of like, Frank, we're trying to build something special here. Like fucking act like it. Was that always your mindset on it? Or was there a point in the creation of Dead Gods where you were like, holy fuck, like this is actually fine art. Like this is going to be phenomenal and we need to treat it as such.
I think from the very beginning, because from DeGods, we got to see what it's like to just purely meet the market. You know what I mean? Just to be like, just fast and loose. Like, let's give people what they want, and not kind of derive it. But I think from the very beginning, we all really wanted to make something that would stand the test of time, and that would signal that we were a premium project. Because that's another thing too, that all art is subjective. I think there's something that's more skilled than other things, whatever. But I think with the DeGods collection, my biggest gripe was I thought we weren't servicing our holders, because even though some things were cool and some things liked certain glows or certain colors and it was very bright, I think people liked that. But I think it was signaling to other people outside of the community, and especially ETH people, that this wasn't an expensive project or it wasn't premium enough that I thought we could be. And so I think from the very beginning, we wanted to make it appear very premium, and we wanted to kind of get all the kinks out ourselves. And so, yeah, cause the Twitter beast is a beast.
Oh yeah.
And Frank feeds that motherfucker.
Hell yeah.
And so he's always just like, he was just like, let's drop a trait, or like, give me some, I'm like, bro, let's not. Because like, we don't, because you end up taking L's, and like, at the end of the day, like even like the Einstein hair was one of the traits we leaked. And at that point, we hadn't figured out our themes yet. And we were chasing down the rabbit hole of like, people want detail, let's give them detail. And so it's like, it was very detailed, but it was just kind of like gratuitous and just kind of not great. And then it didn't resonate as much. And I'm just like, okay, then Delilah takes another L. And so like, Frank, let's just figure this out. We're going to make a great premium collection. Like, and he wanted that too. Everybody wanted that. So
yeah,
the Twitter is just a beast.
I don't think I've really seen a trait that I thought was a miss. One thing that I was very concerned about were the Mickey traits, because those are like prominent and kind of iconic now, almost like a fucking Gary shirt is a Gary shirt, almost like on Dylan helmet level status. Yeah. But I think those are crushed. I think the lore behind those are fucking sick. One thing that I've started to notice and other people have started to notice is like almost like little Easter eggs in the art. Like the D Bass Pro hat on the nail in the fish says like DeGod Shops or whatever, like the original hat said, which is sick. There's like 33.3s chucked in. I saw today that the like nuclear shirt or whatever, that's now like this green kind of like almost Nickelodeon slime looking, like it has like faces stuck in it, which is sick. I noticed that the fucking ice skin has icicles on the rib cage, which I never saw before because I didn't see one naked until Patty DeFi's profile picture. What of these like small details or almost Easter eggs is your favorite thing? Or what did you like chuck in?
I think my favorite one for sure is the DeGod Shops one, because that was candy apple, and I didn't even notice that until I was like auditing some traits and zooming in, whatever, and I just saw that. I'm like, that motherfucker. I'm like,
Hell
because
yeah.
like no one said to do, like no one, like it was just random, and he just threw that in there, and it was just like so cool. And I think we all kind of like the idea of just having fun with it and adding little Easter egg stuff. Honestly, I think I probably added the least Easter eggs. I'm trying to think. Like a lot of Candy Apple and Scum, they were just throwing in these random things. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is sick. This is awesome.
The fact that those are the two guys that like we just happened to get on the team to help with this art is incredible, because like there's some very good Solana one of one artists, but there's not like a whole ton that do not pixel art, right? So the fact that, like, in my opinion, we got two of the probably top three, top five, like one of one realistic arts, probably top three, honestly, because they're not that many, to work on fucking DeGods, and you guys or Frank or whoever caught them early enough that we could be like, hey, do you want to just help on this collection with us? And they were like, absolutely, fuck yeah, let's do it. Is just an incredible, almost like all of you guys meeting and being like, hey, fuck coffee, let's make DeGods. Like the small kind of situations that have brought us to the point that we're at are incredible to me. And I mean, that's like my NFT career as a whole, right? Like I started with NFTs in Top Shot, and then I just happened to learn about Solana through Top Shot, and now like we're in the middle of fucking DeGods mania, running a podcast. Like tiny little points in time can change your whole fucking life. It's crazy, but here we are.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah. So, all right, Dead Gods was a fucking grind. Like, what your day to day during the Dead Gods, marathon, was there anything worthwhile? Were you literally just like in the fucking basement? Like you said, it was 8 weeks. That's a long ass time to be working on one specific thing. Like, is there anything notable in that kind of day to day leading up to Dead Gods?
yeah. I mean, like, so I guess some kind of alpha on how we operate is like, I think we all like the full immersion thing, and we all like to go and be in like the same place. And so we ended up getting these like short-term Airbnbs, but we were like a bunch of traveling tech gypsies. Like we would stay in like Indio for a week, and then we went up to Big Bear for like a week, and then we went back to Palm Springs for a week. And it was, so we were kind of just traveling and hopping, and it kind of would trick you to think that, it was shorter than it was, because you're like, oh, I've only been in this place for 3 days, but you're like, oh, this is 5 weeks in. But I think like, yeah, I mean, as far as the daily routine, it was like, I don't even know. You wake up kind of whenever you wake. It's just like 24/7. Like you wake up kind of whenever you wake up. Usually we do order Starbucks on, like, the amount of DoorDash was just ridiculous.
Yeah,
but
basic white girls.
yeah, we're like ordering Starbucks, and then we like, work all day, and then do feedback stuff at night, and then maybe we go to bed at 3, maybe we go to bed at 4, maybe we tap out early, go to bed at 11, wake up like at 8 the next day.
What a fucking grind. Holy shit.
So it was just kind of like, it was just constant. And I would be like we'd try to get pool tables at the place we would be at, so maybe we play a little bit of pool. We all kind of learned how to do a chip shot, so it's like, now don't try to play us at a bar, because
I'll smoke
like,
you guys. I've been playing pool since I was like fucking 12 at bars, so I'm still very IRL, not Web 3. So
yeah, we actually went, after we launched Dead Gods, we went to a bar that we didn't even realize was here, that has pool tables, and we all played like in real life, which is pretty nice. And then yeah, like I ordered some resistance bands for like the different houses that I brought with me, and like I would go on runs, and like that was basically in like
your sunshine.
The amount of pizza. Yeah, I'm like, okay, here I'm gonna get some dopamine. But yeah, I just like caffeine, like eating pizza.
We in the Mickey's group chat today, we were talking about like how to tackle crypto taxes and tax shelters and all that, and somebody brought up the idea of creating like an IRL Mickey DeGod's ghost kitchen, Like when when you go on like Uber Eats or DoorDash and it's like this new restaurant in your area that you've never heard of, and you look into it and it's like actually operating out of like a Chili's or something, just with a different name.
Yeah, word.
We were like, we should make a fucking Mickey D God's Ghost Kitchen. Yeah, we'll make it in LA. We'll put it by Frank and the team. And we know how much fucking DoorDash they order. Like the team will basically fund our Mickey D God's Ghost Kitchen. And then that'll be like our tax shelter for the Mickey DAO. And then it was just funny shit, dude.
Literally. Do you guys have coffee,
Yeah,
vape, and pizza?
I'm sure we can figure all three of those things out.
Yeah, it would be insane.
Hell yeah. All right. I mean, we could talk about the fucking grind up to Dead Gods and how Dead Gods has gone probably for an entire pod's worth, but I'm trying to squeak some other shit in. So what do you think? I'll start with this, and there's lots of future stuff that I'm about to drop on you, but what to you is the next step? I mean, we know Dead Gods is going to kind of play out for a while just because of the amount of dust that's out there and the amount that's needed to dead all these D Gods that we have. But what to you is the next big step for dust for D Gods?
So I think I don't know if any of this is like secret or not. So I'll have to be a little bit.
No, it's
coy.
all been talked about. You can literally say anything you want.
But I do think we definitely have a lot of plans. I think Dead Gods was like the first step in us solidifying our brand and being like, okay, hey, here we are. We want to be number one. We want to elevate to be a premium collection. And especially with OpenSea, I think they rug. I think they were supposed to integrate it today, but I think it's going to happen soon. But with OpenSea coming in and ETH people coming in, I think the next step for us definitely is just to become like a global brand. Like I think for a lot of NFT projects, kind of like with a lot of booming industries, there's going to be so many projects that fail, so much filler. And I think the ones that establish themselves to have very solid brands and that kind of like brand equity, those are the ones that in 5-10 years are still around and still existing because they just have that name recognition. And so I think it's like definitely for us, we want to bring more people into the DeGods universe. That might mean, like having certain things for them to, whether it be like other collections or other something to bring people that aren't holders right now into the world. We want to also solidify like IRL presences. NFT New York is coming up. We want to kind of be, we're kind of fighting for that number one spot back and forth. But, if we're the number one project on Solana, we want to kind of, really.
We need the presence of the number one spot on Solana. Yeah.
Yeah. Like respect that position as much as we can. And like even seeing what Bored Ape has done, seeing what Doodles have done IRL and stuff like that. It's like, I think definitely that's part of the next step for us. And yeah, I mean, like, I think like with this industry, a month is like a year, and it's hard to predict where things will go. But I do know that we're going to keep building, and we're going to listen to the community and the marketplace. And like, maybe we're making like random ass things in 6 months that we can't even predict right now. But I assure you, we will be making it. So
I just noticed you have an earring too. That's hot as fuck.
Oh yeah, I got a little.
Come on, dude.
This guy.
Lay off. Yeah, I agree, and that's kind of been my philosophy lately. I kind of switched lanes from like a flipper in Solana, and again, I was like new to NFTs in general. I didn't really know shit about anything. To like all right, I think that the move is to like be the brand, right? Like everybody knows what fucking Bored Ape Yacht Club is. Like you want to be that kind of household name in Web3 in NFTs. So that's why I've started to put a lot more of my faith and just kind of bullishness, for lack of a better term, in DeGods among some other projects that I think have potential to be like the big brands of Solana. And we've even talked about like NFT NYC. I'll fucking go, dude. I'll be there. I'll be part of the DeGods presence. Like we were talking about doing a live pod the other day. Dude, I'm saying like we were talking to Aussie, and I forget how it came up, or Aussie NFT guy, because I got roasted for calling them Aussies. Not like my dog, not an Aussie, an Aussie NFT guy. We were talking about doing live DeGodCast on stage at NFT NYC, and we all get DeGod's tattoos on stage at the same time. Like,
dude, I'm so, you guys have to come.
Let's
like,
fucking do it, dude.
That sounds fucking
I'm
sick.
like, dude, we got to book these hotels and flights right now. Cause I love New York anyway. So it's like,
I love New York, dude. I was there
I'll go to New
a few
York,
months
even if it's
ago
not-
to visit friends, and it's like there's just something like so special about New York City. And I'm like not a big city guy. I, grew up in the South and shit, so we don't like. I was never really like into Miami or whatever, but there's just something like otherworldly almost about like being in the streets of New York City. So
we were in the first NFT NYC. We went in like November, and that was when Seoul was just in Valhalla at like 260.
yeah.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, I remember that shit.
All right,
Everyone was just, we were just the most stoked. It was like, it was such a good time. So yeah, so like you guys should definitely, that'd be so fun. Like I think that is such the natural transition.
Yeah.
Is going to this like IRL, like it, because the community it's great that it's online. It's great that there's Twitter and stuff, but I think as the brand expands,
it has
like,
to transcend that.
Yeah.
So Delilah's just pro docs, yeah, word.
Yeah, I think like,
all right, the screenshot's going out.
I do, well, because another thing too is that I made a lot of jokes where like, oh, I'm in JPEG prison, like let me free or whatever. Like I'm like, let me go make shitty music. Like that is kind of my, I don't know, it just feeds my soul in a very unique way. Making
passion.
Yeah, and it's like,
you play guitar. What was your in the band?
Yeah, I sing and play guitar.
I was gonna say
it's
you give off big time lead singer vibes.
I was the lead singer, and then so crazy thing about Web3, I'm first of all so giga bullish on NFTs and music and entertainment and everything. And so the band I was in, I was the lead singer, whatever, but we broke up in November, and we signed such a shitty record deal that they had the right to sign me to a personal record deal. So I was signed, and like, labels are in the fucking stone age. Like I think Web3 is going to obliterate them in like 5 years. And so my hands were basically tied, but I actually bought myself out of my fucking record deal with JPEG
Let's
money.
go,
And
dude.
It's a boss ass move.
That happened the day we launched DeGodCast. Like it all just came together.
Let's
it was
ride.
like, I'm free from
It's fucking
that.
sick.
It was like,
You escaped the JPEG prison to escape a IRL prison.
It's just crazy the stories you hear with Web3. And so like, I do think that's also another lane for DeGods is in the future, incorporating, high profile people, influencers, whatever. And I think just like some of my friends that are very smart are still like, oh, I don't see the lane with NFTs, but just the technology that exists. And I just think the use cases, especially for music, like I just can't wait to start doing that too.
Music on chain is like a no brainer. And NFTs, like I get it, dude. It took explaining to me, like I said, my intro to NFTs was Top Shot, and it literally took one of my boys that I do like fantasy football and shit with being like, hey, I found these things, they're NFTs, but like don't worry about that, they're just like digital basketball cards. And I was like, okay, I kind of get that. Like it's a very foreign concept and it's very hard to explain, but once you onboard somebody and once you kind of break down that third wall and it's like, okay, now I understand what this is all about, and then they experience it, like you can't fucking leave, dude. This shit is so addicting. Like, so that's my like bull thesis on this is, yes, the onboarding process is not easy and it's very difficult to explain and convoluted in some cases, especially if you're talking like, dealing with a network like Ethereum or something with gas and all that. But once you break through that wall and you get somebody on, like you almost have a fan for life.
Yeah, especially since those fans usually make a bunch of money very quickly too.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt.
Yeah, it's like, and I just think it's just so exciting. And so, I mean, going back to it, like I would probably like as a musician, I'm doxed, so it's like, I do see my future like definitely being integrated with DeGods and music and doing kind of a lot of different things. But so maybe doxing is in the future, but I also don't want to get murdered.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, and I've always kind of been like, I don't get the deal with doxing. Like, I personally have nothing to hide. Like, I'm not out here trying to, scam anyone out of their money or anything. But then it occurred to me the other day when I was talking to somebody about getting a ledger, I was like, fuck, I own like $500,000 of these internet pictures. Like, what's to stop somebody from kicking in my fucking door and being like, hey, give me your phantom mobile password or whatever. So like, I kind of get it, but yeah, I don't know. It sucks. I mean, there's also rich people who are like obviously doxxed and they don't get robbed or something, but it's a weird touchy subject. But yeah, I definitely down. Like, I think the IRL presence super important because to me, like, I recently moved to a new city. I like, got this new job in the middle of COVID, moved, didn't know anybody. And then because it's COVID, like, it's kind of hard to meet new people or whatever. Like, you don't, like, it just recently kind of started being able to go out to bars and everything. And I kind of discovered Web3 and NFTs in the middle of that. And so for me, it's like, I now have these people that I've been, friends with for 6-7 months that I talk to pretty much every day. And that for me was kind of because I've never been like I didn't play like World of Warcraft or anything. Like, I've never been like I have internet friends I've never met guy. And not to like knock on that at all or anything. It's just that's never occurred in my life. But now I have these people that like I've met on the internet that I don't know what they look like. I don't know what their names are, but they're my fucking homies, and I would do just about anything for a lot of them. And I feel like the next transition kind of just being, bringing that into IRL for me at least is very important. Like, some people might be Web3, day in, day out, and it doesn't matter to them if you can go and meet people like in real life in an event or anything. But like, I talk to DeGods every fucking day, and like some of them know like what city I live in and shit. And like they hit me up because they're coming to my city to like go to a wedding or whatever. And like I get gassed up about that. So I think that's a big part of the success of Bored Ape Yacht Club. It's like you're part of this almost elite crew, and that extends beyond this picture of a monkey that I own on my Twitter profile. So I think
100%.
And I think that's what Frank, I think, like, to me, that's the next step with DeGods too. Like you said, obviously like Dust has a million use cases, but I think developing the brand and kind of transcending this Web3 Twitter Discord world or bubble that we all kind of live in is going to be a massive step forward in making us like one of the most successful Solana projects. And B, just like like transcending the whole Web3 thing and being this brand like a fucking Supreme or I know Bathing Ape just released a shitty NFT, so maybe they're off the list. But what or do you think we will ever do? Because I know you said like there's probably a next collection, in the works. Obviously, you have to continue to provide these utilities for Dust. Granted, there are a shit ton. We're talking, raffles, auctions, whitelist spots, Magic Eden integration, all this soon. But Frank has hinted at, and I think it kind of makes sense, that eventually there's this secondary collection. And a lot of people want to know, is that secondary collection DeGoddesses?
I think that we haven't incorporated like exactly what we want to do if we were to do a second collection. But I think that some sort of female counterpart or some sort of female integration is absolutely something we want to lean into. And I think that, if there was a second collection, that would like definitely be a viable part of it. And I think that like a lot of that stuff and like the Dust integration, all these different, like, I leave that to the nebula brain of Frank,
Yeah.
who is, because like I'm as the artist, like, and I kind of like to like be on and then kind of like pull back and go do my own thing and like disappear for a few days. So there's a lot of stuff that I'm like, I come back, I'm like, oh shit, you guys are doing this thing right now. Like, this is incredible. So I'm sure that him and the rest of the guys will spin up something fucking genius, and everybody will be stoked. But even honestly, I'm not even really the guy that knows that much alpha about that.
Yeah, I think I'm not a super creative guy, so like to me, like DeGoddesses, yeah, the female version of DeGods probably make sense. I don't know if there's reasons why that doesn't make sense, but I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure that's why you haven't got a DeGods 1 of 1 yet, because we're waiting for DeGoddesses so you can have a DeGoddess 1 of 1 that's Delilah. But yeah, just trying to
normalize Delilah being a guy's name now.
Yeah, you're gonna start, dude. There's gonna be a whole generation of children that are males with the name Delilah, and it's gonna be all your fault.
It's kind of a cool name. I'm not mad at it, you know?
I fuck with it. I think like 3 syllables is kind of my max for a name, and it has to be a good one to boot if it's gonna be 3 syllables. But yeah, Delilah kind of rolls off the tongue. Yeah, I was just trying to see if I could sneak out a little alpha there, but
that's because of the plain white tees, bro. That's what it is.
Did you
the hey there, Delilah? Yeah.
Did you see that that bar that somebody posted on Twitter today?
Oh, where was it?
Nah,
I'm
I
gonna
didn't.
see if I can find it real quick. But somebody posted it like in response, I think, to the we always post like a what questions should we ask the guest on this week's episode. And
bro, we all fucking seen that.
Yeah,
we all fucking seen that, bro, because it was fucking Delilah, bro, who fucking replied.
Dude, this was
I replied to one of them.
Oh, did you reply?
Yeah, because it was like
oh yeah, there we go. Olympus Square can shine as bright as you. Yeah, hey there, Delilah. What's it like in Dead God's City? I'm 400 dust away, but Dead Gods look so pretty, bro. That was gas, dude.
So funny,
so good. Yeah, you said you like to step away. Do you ever plan on being more active on Discord and Twitter, or that's just not your style?
It's kind of tough because I like when I'm in it, I love it. It's so fun. And it's like messaging people, and even that like, hey there, Delilah thread was so funny. And like, I was having a blast. But like sometimes, you know, I can get very caught up in what I'm doing. And so it's like, I'll just be like doing something else that I'll just be 100% focused, and I like won't be on my phone. And I'll kind of like miss the beat of the conversations or whatever. And so,
I feel that.
I think that I used to like straight up not understand Twitter at all. I was like, why do people even use Twitter? I didn't really even understand how it was like social media in a sense, but I've been completely pilled. I totally understand how Twitter is like one of the coolest things ever. And so I made my Twitter like a month and a half ago or something. So I'm definitely going to try to lean into it more, because I think it's just like such a cool platform. And like, obviously the DeGods community is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And so it's just so much fun. And like, dude, especially like you're saying, like it would be so cool to chill with all these people in real life at different events and shit. And it's like,
yeah,
especially, you know, Dust can, you know, there's just different ways you can integrate it. People are flipping, plane tickets are available.
Yeah, dude. And like I make a plane ticket every day in Dust. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
it's one dust equals one dust.
Yeah,
and if
one dust equals one dust. Yeah, don't forget.
One dust equals one dust doesn't equal any kind of plane ticket. So it's like
NFA.
Yeah, but no, I get, I feel you, and it's a blessing and a curse, because it's like I too am like very social. I just love shooting the shit with the boys and hanging out, and like I get lost almost in Twitter, and I pray to God nobody from my real job ever listens to this podcast, because I legit think in the 6 months that I've been, you know, a part of this community and just NFTs in general, I've probably gotten done in 6 months what I would have gotten done in a month and a half prior to NFTs. Like I bring my iPad to work. I'm fucking around on Twitter. Not so much in Discord, because that's a whole nother level. Like I get in God chat on Discord, and like next thing you know, like I'm having my coffee at 8 a.m. at work, and then I look up and it's like 10:30. I'm like, oh fuck. So yeah, we'd love to have you, but don't get too lost in the sauce is all I'll say on that note.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy, bro. So being that you're not like super active like on social media, bro, like do you have to like, what does like Finn and Frank like tell you like all this crazy shit that's been fucking going on? Like how do you track like all the crazy shit that's been going on with like DeGods and shit, like on the outside?
I mean, so since I do have my Twitter now that's linked up, like I will see notifications, but I also sometimes will miss a lot. But like I see these motherfuckers every day. Like so like
yeah, word.
Like I woke up, I'm like in my underwear, and like they're on like a group call with something. Like we're actually meeting some guy tonight, like so we're all gonna have dinner. It's like you know, we live so close. It's like I'll get updated pretty much constantly because I'm like these guys all the time. So it's kind of nice because then I can be unplugged a little bit, and then I can still kind of get all the alpha. So
that's fucking dope, bro. Because it's crazy because that's the whole reason why, like, or kind of how this show kind of fucking started, bro. Because I remember I used to fucking like just jump on fucking Twitter. I'd be like, God damn, bro, all this shit's going on. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Frank, like, chill. He's just fucking like, just firing off fucking Molotovs and shit, right? So I always used to think like, damn, bro, like I wish there was a fucking way that I could just fucking like just hit somebody up and they just be like, yeah, bro, this is all the shit that happened this week. I'm like, thanks, bro. You know what I mean? And I just go about my day. So boom, fast forward, like here we are, fucking, that's why the fucking recap exists.
Yep.
You could literally listen to like the first couple minutes and be like, all right, good. And you know what I mean? And then you straight. So that's fucking dope,
but
though.
Delilah's plugged into like the fucking actual.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. She's got it.
I'm into this. I'm like in the analog source.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's fucking sick.
I'm kind of jealous of that because I'm the same way. Like I probably could have used a DeGodCast recap, and honestly, Chapters recap is a lot of my news because even though I spend most of my day fucking around on Twitter, it's like not in a productive manner. Like I'm dicking around with like Mickey DeGods and like making dick jokes on Frank's tweets and shit. So, oh yeah, all right, good fucking times. All right, this next question, somebody asked on Twitter. I thought it was very interesting, and hearing everything you've mentioned about like how you met the team and how you kind of got involved in NFTs and with DeGods, I feel like I know the answer now. But is there something that would make you move on from DeGods, that would make you say, all right, the next chapter of Delilah? And I think the way they asked it, it's probably inside NFTs. It's probably not like you get like Adam Levine dies and you get signed as like the lead singer of Maroon 5 or some shit. I think it's like Web3 wise, what could possibly make you say, all right, DeGods was fun, it's been real, but this is what I got to do now?
I mean, here's the thing is that I was obviously making all these jokes when I was in the thing. I was like, I'm going to throw my iPad in the Pacific Ocean. I'm moving to the Cayman Islands. Like, you're going to find me with like a huge beard and like, on a remote island, whatever. The bottom line is that like, I don't even think I could leave these motherfuckers if I tried. Like, these guys are my brothers. They're so fucking cool. I love the shit out of them. And the things that we've been building, and like, I think it's directly in line with kind of where I want to go as an artist, even individually. Like, I think that, again, I'm giga bullish on NFTs in entertainment and music. Like, I've been fucked by record labels for like 4.5 years. I would love to be on the little train that twists the knife and takes them out for good with Web3. And so as much as I need a break, and I'm going to take a little bit of a break, I just think it's like, it's too much fun. And, we've spent so much time together. We've gotten so close that like, I think it'd be pretty hard for me to walk away. So
yeah, that was kind of the vibe I got from just listening. It'd be different if it was like you were this fire hyped artist and Frank was like, hey, do the art for DeGods. But it's like, it's just almost like you're calling and one of those, not calling, but like one of those like, those minuscule moments that led to this in your life. And it's now it's like, well, I mean, what would I be doing besides this? I don't fucking know.
Yeah. Cause we all kind of, again, like we were all kind of friends, and we were just wanted to build shit. And we were building like, and all the other guys have all built shit on their own. Like, we've all been in our own lanes. And so we just kind of wanted to build something together. And then, and DeGods happened and blew up. And so, none of us were like, oh, let's tap this guy because he's like the best developer. Let's tap this person, the best marketer. Just like, we all were friends first, which is really, really rare because we've met some, like, first of all, every guy in their 20s in LA is now riding the dick of NFTs. They're like trying to make some sort of project, spin something up. And so you meet a lot of people that are just kind of doing it for the money or doing it to do a quick turnaround. And we've heard and seen firsthand horror stories of people we know, of like team dynamics getting fucked up. It's like, so we all are kind of just like, damn, like we're really lucky that we don't hate each other and that we were able to build this thing. So
Yeah, you guys got a fucking sick ass
Yeah,
team,
dude.
bro. You guys are fucking like the God Squad in real life.
Well, dude, and even like chill, like, because like you were saying, meeting people on the internet, like I'd never met any of these guys that are abroad. And so like some of them came out for some of the sprints, and it was just so cool to meet people
Yeah.
that were from the internet, and then you see them in real life and they're fucking awesome. So it's like,
Yeah, that's sick. That's one of the things that makes me bullish on Web3 is because, well, I mean, first of all, we all kind of know the deal, and we all have this almost like elevated mindset of what's possible in Web3. Because, dude, I spent, I don't know, the better part of a year and a half like trying to explain NFTs to like my boys in real life that like, I've known since high school or college or whatever. And like we play fantasy football together and we hang out on the weekends and like we fucking do all this shit, but they just can't wrap their head around or like don't really get the whole Web3 thing. So, granted, again, I'm from like the fucking South. We're a little antiquated compared to, people in LA and California, I'm sure. But yeah, the fact that you're able to meet and surround yourself with these people that all not only kind of share the same kind of mindset, it sounds like, like, because sometimes you talk to somebody about doing something and it turns out like maybe they're a little lazy or they don't really have the like, yo, let's grind this shit out mentality that you do. So to meet people with that same mentality, but then also to meet people that are already into Web3 or have at least the open mindedness to embrace the Web3 lifestyle, because the fucking possibilities are endless, dude. Like my IRL job, I'm a civil engineer. It's about as far from Web3 as you can fucking get. Like I build real life concrete and asphalt fucking roads and bridges and shit. Like nobody needs my ass in the metaverse because there's no physics or anything like that. So it's like the stark contrast of the people. And my background before that was IT. I did IT for years prior to like discovering all of this, Web3 NFT shit. If I had kind of discovered this at the same time, maybe I hadn't left IT. It is what it is. But the number of people that I see, and most of them are friends I've made through the DeGods community, that are like, yeah, I quit my job and now I'm a dev for fucking Mickey DeGods and I'm making, fake digital fast food items that you're soon going to be able to stake for dust. Like the amount of shit that goes on, and I do a good job, I think, of not getting like jealous of it, because to me, like, that's just not my world anymore. Like I'm an engineer. I deal in real world shit, and it just is what it is. And I make good money doing it, and it allows me the time and the work life balance to also do this shit that I thoroughly enjoy. But it's just seeing the pure scope and possibilities that people of all types of backgrounds, for the most part, can get involved in, even if it's just like being a Discord mod. It's insane, dude. And I think we, back on that kind of subject of having the same similar mentalities as you and the team have, I think kind of the whole DeGods community as a whole have this like grind set of like, I'm gonna build my own career in Web3, and like I'm gonna be constantly doing dope shit, and I'm gonna be building. And I'm fucking ranting now, but it's just like I get so hyped because like
all the dude, love the rant.
all the rants, dude. That's D-Way. Like Frank taught us, fucking, you're a ranter. Like all we do is get hyped and rant. It just is what it is. But it's super hype seeing, from day fucking one, like the community that we have and that we've built. And it's just all people that are like absolute savages mentally. And
Dude, I also could rant about the like entertainment side for so long, because I think as an artist, what I think Web3 is going to do for artists is actually insane.
And we've barely even touched that.
Dude, barely. And like seeing how, because before I think we had like the social media revolution where you could now market yourself as an artist, and you can now, and that's visual arts, any kind of art. It's like you now can get the platform, but you couldn't monetize it. And I know we've met people in LA that have 20 million like TikTok followers. That have met like all these things, and like even they can have hard times monetizing it in the way that you can with Web3. And it's just the way that you can align the incentives of your community to market, the way that you can tap all these different people and pool their money collectively for a common goal, whether that's your art or community, it's like actually insane. I think it's going to completely revolutionize the way artists interact. And it's like, it's going to just nuke all the middlemen that have been like feeding off artists since the beginning of literal time. Like,
word.
Yeah,
like I could talk forever about it because it's so,
I was gonna say preach, Delilah.
It's like,
it's literally so crazy, dude.
Yeah,
artists have been getting fucked since the beginning of time, and seeing that there is an artist, like even one of ones, and like even talking, Scum was with us for like I think a month of it, and like we all got super close, and like he quit his job like 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
He only started doing Web3 art like 2 months ago or something, and it's like, as an artist, to be able to control your own destiny and not have to ask for a handout. And the way you can get money is from community driven feedback. Like if you put good shit out, they give you money for it. It's like, it's the most empowering and I think revolutionary shift that is going to happen to artist entertainment. I still think we are like a couple years out because it's not adopted widely, but it's like, I think for the first time in human history, it sounds dramatic, but I think for the first time in human history, artists are now going to be in the power seat because they can monetize themselves and they're able to market themselves because of social media.
Yeah. And like you said, you're cutting out the middleman, which is fucking massive, especially in music, like actual, fine art, a little bit less, but you're cutting out the middleman and you're able to get this audience much easier too, because like let's say you're an artist, right? Like let's say you play in a band. Like I played in a hardcore band in high school, and what do? We played at the local fucking King Richards that had a little stage out back, or we played at the church downtown that had a little stage up front and let us rent it out, and we played to maybe a couple hundred high school kids. But now it's like, okay, you're an artist, as in like digital art, like what you, Scum, Candy Apple do, or you're a musician, or you're whatever your fucking thing is. Like there's DGen Poet on Twitter, like sells poems as NFTs. And you now, if you make the right connections, which everything in life kind of boils down to, having the right connections to get your name out and build your network, it's so much easier to build this worldwide audience of people that can appreciate your art than it was like when I was in high school and we could put our art on YouTube and like MySpace and and by art I mean music, and be like, hey, come listen to us. Like, yeah, I it's insane and it kills me that I'm not like a creative person in the like artistic sense of being creative. Like I have a very I'm gonna 50-50 shot this and say right brain personality, where I have like I'm an engineer. I see a problem, I can find a way to fix that problem, and I'm very good at like troubleshooting and creative problem solving and things like that. But I don't have like the artistic creative side and the potential to literally just market yourself and turn nothing, in the sense of like you would have zero audience if you're just painting in your room or you're living, into something that is easily monetized. And I've been pitching this to like, I have a lot of like creative cousins and family members who like paint and draw and shit. I'm like, dude, I'll buy you a fucking iPad and an Apple Pencil for your birthday. Like, just please, for the love of God, try making some art, and I will help you like create this network and market it on Twitter and everything. But on a more specific point, what do you think that music in NFTs looks like, and what's the future for that? Because there's not much in that genre of NFTs per se. So I'm curious what your vision of that is.
So I think, and like Gary Vee talks about this a little bit too. He has some cool videos on it. And like you said, dude, I've played in shows around the fucking country. It's like, as a growth lever and a monetization mechanism, it's just so not it. It's like the fucking Stone Age. Like you can play a great show for 500 people, 1,000 people, but it's just, it's a very, very bad system to monetize and to capitalize on like just compound growth that you can on the 24/7 world of the internet. And so the thing, I've seen some other artists too that are trying to sell people their NFT right now. It's like, bro, no one wants your fucking NFT. Like, no one wants your music right now because no one's heard of you. So like, people really don't want to buy. They're using ETH too. It's like, dude, no one wants to pay $500 in gas to get an NFT of your song that they could get on Spotify for free. So it's like, I think the technology and the mechanism for the way I see it is that NFTs are basically allow the artist to communicate directly with their community in an aligned incentive way where you can monetize in a way that is mutually beneficial for the artist and for the community that has never been able to be done before. And I think there's things like Patreon, there's things like GoFundMe, Bandcamp, whatever. And you can get people to fund your EP. You know, you can raise $30,000, fund your EP. That's great. The thing is that the system isn't in place for them to really capitalize on any growth that artist does. So if that EP sells 5 million copies, if I donated $1,000 to make that EP, I don't see any upside. And so it's just the way Web3, in my opinion, is going to shift that is that because of smart contracts, all this stuff, is that now I can see an upside. I can invest in an artist and it's mutually beneficial because I put money down, I could get money in return. And then as the artist, I get money and I also get free marketing because now all these people have skin in the game because they've invested money and they want to see their investment blow up. And so you really just get, like if the circles were this wide before, you just get almost complete alignment of the incentives for people to basically upvote and to bring up good art. It has to be good and it has to be adding value to whoever it is. But I also think with like things like TikTok, like I was saying, with social media that allowed marketing to now be in the hands of the artist. And like, dude, we've been on a label and like the best marketing is artist generated. Like we've had billboards, we've had all this shit. It's like, that doesn't do anything. The best thing to market yourself is a video of yourself singing or a video of yourself doing something funny on TikTok. And so the power is in the creator's hands. And so with NFTs, I don't think it's going to be, personally, I don't think it's going to be like selling music NFTs or anything like that. I think it's going to be some way where community members can invest in the artist themselves and see an upside from either a token they have or some sort of portion of like a digital album or whatever. And I really think that my personal opinion is that I think the shift will happen probably in a couple years when the next zeitgeist building artists like Olivia Rodrigo or Billie Eilish that completely overwhelms everything. The minute that they do that using Web3 and make like $50 million by themselves, like some 15-year-old kid, the minute everyone does that or one kid does that, I think everything will shift just in the same way that kids want to be TikTok stars nowadays. They don't want to be movie stars because some kid did it from their living room in Arkansas and now has 100 million followers. And so every kid is like, that's what I want to be because they see the lane and they see the money. And I think that labels have so much inertia. Like Kanye's not going to do NFTs. Like Drake's not going to shift to NFTs, but it's going to be an up and coming artist who's going to build their community, monetizing with aligned instead of Web3s. And they're going to make like $100 million and there'd be like 17 and everyone's going to be like, fuck labels, fuck everything else. Like you can do it all yourself and make a whole bunch of money.
Yeah. To me, it's the ease of crowdfunding, right? Like, and I've never been signed to a label. Like I've never been in a legitimate band per se, but it's like, to me, there would come an option where, okay, we're kind of getting big, or maybe we're not even getting big, but like our music is phenomenal and we know it's phenomenal. And like other people know that it's good and we think that it can grow and we think other people will appreciate it. And then there will come a choice and it's, do we go and sign with the label? Right? Because you're not funding your own EP or album. The label's going to do it and they're going to take a cut of it. It's, do we go and we sign with a label, or do we mint this kind of music DAO or some kind of governance type token? And that's how we fund our money to record this album. And then we, instead of paying the label this exorbitant amount, because again, I don't know what it is, but I've heard labels just absolutely bend you over in the contract. Do we give back to the community and the people who genuinely appreciate our art, and almost in like the Kickstarter, sense of it, where on Kickstarter, I don't know if like bands go to Kickstarter or whatever, Indiegogo or whatever, but let's say like you're a video game, you use Kickstarter to fund the development of your game. But if I'm buying your Kickstarter package, all I'm getting is like, an early release of the game, or I'm getting like maybe like my name in the credits or something. But if you do that with an NFT, you can actually give back to the holders. And I can say, okay, by owning these 4 NFTs, I own 4 shares of this kind of, piece of this band. And when you put out that album, assuming it does well, because again, like you have to deliver and do well as an NFT project in order to provide value at all, a piece of that can kind of get kicked back to your holders. And versus the Kickstarter thing where it's like, okay, I'm just giving you money to support you early, but it doesn't actually benefit me as that supporter at all. It's like, okay, I now essentially I'm a part of the record label. That's what it might look like to me. Again, the possibilities are fucking endless, but yeah, I'm very curious to see. I've not seen like any music NFTs, but like I'm a big fucking music guy, and we're all big music guys on this pod. So like that's something that I would love to just chuck a little money at, because I'm at the point now in my like NFT trading career where I just want to chuck money at shit that I believe in and I care about.
Dude, yeah, and it's like it's just so funny because money, like some people might want early access, some people might want like a hoodie, and like when you think about artists, I like to think about it where you're creating energy. You know what I mean? Like you write a song from nothing and you give somebody energy. Maybe it helps them through a breakup. Maybe it helps them feel good. Whatever it is, you give them energy, and that can crystallize back in money. But the only way you can crystallize it now is like giving them a hoodie, right, or giving them early access. And the thing is that not everybody wants your fucking hoodie.
Yeah,
and
facts.
Not everybody wants early access. But what does everybody want? Like everybody does everything they do. People scrub the shit out of toilets. People like work their whole lives for money. Money is literally the universal incentive. And that's why I think you see these incredible communities on Solana and like other platforms, because the upside and the fact that everybody has a stake so quickly, because Solana allows it to be very quick. You don't have to have an IPO. You don't have to buy share. It's just like immediate feedback. And we saw that firsthand when, Frank and like Frank and Taylor were in another room laughing their fucking asses off when we were doing the first bounty hunts things. Because we didn't, again, we were all just like shooting from the hip, and like they came up with this thing, and they were like making all these fun challenges, and people were willing to do it, and people were willing to put themselves out there. One, because it was fun, but two, because they're getting incentivized, they get money. And so you see the flywheel start to go with the DeGods community. And now as we're getting more and more, as we're getting bigger and as the price is going up, it's just like everybody is eating, and it's just so, I don't know, it's just so cool to see how that can like grow communities with things that are good products.
Yeah, and so I'm a little too old to be buying like band tees, but if I could buy that band tee and maybe I made a little, cut of the revenue that the band made, you better believe I'd be all over it.
Yeah, it's like I would easily buy, like I like Justin Bieber's music. Like I think he's cool. I like his music, but like I'm never going to rep a Justin Bieber t-shirt. I'm not going to rep a Justin Bieber hoodie. I don't need to go to a concert. Right. So
word.
I would easily invest 100 Sol in Justin Bieber. You know what I mean? If I'm getting a kickback too.
Absolutely. Oh, 100 Sol in Justin Bieber. You'd probably be set for life, dude.
Yeah, are you kidding? So it's like, I'm just excited, man. I'm just so excited because it's just so, I feel like we're early, and that's just an exciting place to be.
If you ever need a drummer, holler at your boy.
Hey, yeah, I mean, honestly, probably might. I'm like about to gear up to start releasing music.
Oh,
again,
let's ride.
Oh, shit, that's the alpha.
Is this the time that I dox and tell people that JB actually stands for Justin Bieber?
This guy.
Bro, the amount of times I get that joke, I'm like, oh, come on, dude. All right, so I'm gonna fire off a couple questions from the community now. There were a lot, as I'm sure you can imagine. Like I said, you are like one of the OG enigmas of DeGods, being a woman for 7 months and then all of a sudden being exposed as this big brain man rocket. So, handful of questions. I'm gonna try and get some of the ones that we can get a concise answer to, or else this is gonna be a two-parter. And a lot of them are very fun and funny too. So I'm gonna start with this one. If you were commissioned to repaint the Sistine Chapel with dead gods, what would the scene be?
Wow. Off the top,
Wow.
maybe I think it would be the glorious transition of transcendence from DeGod to dead god. And it would just have one side of the DeGods, and then like, you know, maybe they're like meeting in the middle, and
The
like
Stardust
it turns
border.
to dead god. It's Frank sitting there like with the halo and like, you know,
Oh, yeah.
the 13 apostles or something.
Okay. That would be sick. That might have to be like a one of one piece that gets auctioned off eventually or something, because that sounds fire.
Word.
Okay. If you had to commission a piece from Scum or Candy Apple, what would it be?
Wow. I think
Knowing their art styles too, that's a toughie.
so. Candy Apple does a lot of animation
Yeah.
stuff, so I would for sure want to get an animation piece from him, because I can't animate, and I think it's the sickest thing ever. So I would probably get an animation piece. I also saw some of Scum's on his iPad. I saw some stuff he's working on.
The Death Machines.
I know he's working on, the Machina
Yeah.
Muertes and stuff like that. So I'd kind of want to custom one of those because they look fucking sick.
Yeah. What would your subject be for a animated Candy Apple piece?
Oof. Wow. I don't know. I think I loved the one he did with the two sneakers like dangling. So maybe something along that line, like kind of just like a scene, like a vibe.
Okay.
Kind of a looping scene. I think that'd be sick.
Yeah, I don't know. I think mine would be like, I don't know, like maybe at the bar, like Cheers and the Boys, but it's like lo-fi animated somehow. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah.
I feel like you guys are so for the boys, which I'm also so
I'm
for.
so for the
So I
boys,
love
dude. Like I said, like the move in the middle of COVID to like a new city I'd never been in, it kind of like put a ding in my the boysness. So you know, now a lot of my the boys are virtual boys, but
Word.
still the same. Mickey's the fucking boys. Of the people on the team, who would you choose to spot you at the gym and why?
Honestly, I would say Finn.
Hell yeah.
Because Finn is just like, that guy will never not have your back. So it's like, I know that if I needed a spot, Finn would supply the spot.
Hell
The
yeah.
legend.
That's
Yeah,
my
word.
boy.
Shout out to homie Finn.
Yeah, shout out to homie Finn. Dior.
I low-key, I don't know if it's a fact or not, but I feel like he has my notifications on because sometimes he is way too quick to like and retweet my shit. And if that's
He's
not
fucking everywhere, bro. He is.
if that's not the case, Finn, never tell me because I like it better when that's how it is.
Dude, yeah, those guys are always on Twitter. It's crazy.
I love it, dude. I'm telling you, it's addicting. Like it's so hard. Like, and you don't miss anything by not being on Twitter, but you feel like you do. It's like I now have this like almost like a ghost limb where like I just pull my phone out and I look at it, and like usually there is something on Twitter, which is part of the problem. But okay, who's the second most attractive member of the team? This is a big question because you are like the throned champ. So
They're all
like
pointing the fingers at you.
This answer holds a lot of weight.
Oh wow. I mean, I don't even know. I think Taylor's in the other room right now, so he might shoot me if I don't say it. But Taylor's an artist too, but you know, so we're like they're all like I don't know, we're all normal guys. Like I think, you know, so I will say Taylor because I told Taylor to bleach his hair.
Oh wow.
And he did, and it looks sick. And so he has some sick artsy bleached hair.
Taylor, come out here.
So that's
crazy how the universe works, bro. Because both y'all got like, well, I mean, I remember we said that Taylor's kind of like unisex, but like as a name, But that's crazy because both you guys have like the female names, and then you guys are just like,
The
yeah, we're the
hottest
fucking
dude.
hottest people here.
Yeah, Frank and Finn definitely
fucking
did that on
wild.
purpose. So you guys wouldn't pull any of the eyes or anything. That's hilarious.
Frank's got his fucking jigsaw mask on,
dude.
sitting in the hallway on his fucking tricycle, bro. Checking on his game theory.
Do you know anything about the Mickey's Mint that happened and what they're doing with the menu items?
I heard a little bit of it where like you guys basically made your own collection, right? And it's like they can stay right now or something.
There's fries, ice cream, drinks, nuggets, and burgers. So the question is, if you had to build, let's say, a 3-piece combo of those, what would it look like?
Oh wow. Okay, I saw the mythic fries, right? Aren't there mythic fries?
Yeah, there's a bunch. They're fire.
Oh, okay. Wait, can I see them all on
Go to Magic Eden.
Are they on
Mickey DeGod's Magic Eden and check all items? Take a peek. While you look at that, I'll fire off another one. What annoys you the most about Frank?
Oh, about Frank? Yeah. That he's always fucking right. That's the thing about Frank. It's like, guy's a fucking genius. Guy's so cool, like so humble, like very, very high level of awareness. Like, and I think I'm so glad where we ended up with the Dead Gods collection. But we definitely had moments where we, you know, idealistically we're just like, I'm like, let's make it more like artists. He's like, we gotta like make pop music for the holders, and it's like, so we definitely I wouldn't even say butt heads because I don't think it ever like got to that point, but we definitely had disagreements. But you know, kid's always right. He's just too smart for his own good.
He's just fucking Frank, bro. That's really what it is.
Yeah, smart dude. Why are the wings to the left? I feel like that's because the way that the PFPs face, and they've always kind of been on the left side.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm assuming this is going to apply to like the Dead God sprint, or maybe it doesn't. When work is at its most tedious point, what keeps you motivated or inspired, or what keeps you going? Like when the grind just almost gets too much to bear, what keeps you going?
I mean, I think just like the belief in what we were doing, I think for sure was like the biggest thing. But I'm not gonna lie, I had like run out of dopamine. I was like, we were working, and then getting feedback too on art is like also draining. So it's like you're working all day drawing shit, and then you get shit on at night, and then you have to make it better the next day. And it's like that definitely, I basically like completely bottomed out on dopamine. So I mean, I need to like exercise and move around. Like that saved my sanity for sure. But besides that, just like knowing that we were building something really, really cool, and that if we pulled this off, it was just going to be really, really cool for everybody.
So the boys was the motivation.
So what are you drinking? Like coffee, like fucking Monsters, Red Bulls? Like what you sipping on, bro, during the grind, bro?
Well, dude, so I don't even like. I try to not be too like crazy. I drink a lot of coffee, but then sometimes I was drinking too much coffee, and it's like you're not eating, and you get all like fucked up. So yeah, I don't like vape or anything either. So it's like I'm like.
That's what you just drinking water, bro? This coffee water?
Coffee and LaCroix, dude, and like protein. It was terrible. It was like
no beer.
But dude, I literally didn't have a beer for like 2.5 months.
That's horrible.
Not that I like need one, but it's like, come on,
a long time to not have a beer.
Yeah.
I also like didn't see a girl for like 2.5 months.
It's a long time to not see a girl.
Jesus.
You're just like surrounded by tech guys all day, which again I love. Yeah,
it was maybe we should get an actual girl on the team.
Stuck in the dungeon of dudes.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what, guys, like. Maybe we should go out to a bar.
Yeah, there's a thought. All right, are you looking at Mickey's? Give me a quick 3-item combo. Dude. And do you feel intimidated by Belafonte Fox looking at this sick art?
Wait, Belafonte Fox
is the Mickey's artist. Damn, Fox just got big timed.
Wow, this is honestly, I'm looking through these and these are fucking sick. I think the nugs, Mickey's nugs. I'm a huge nug guy. So I think I'd have to rip one of those. And then where are the shakes?
Drinks are going to be spread out. I think you can maybe separate it by drinks. They kind of smoke a lot of weed, and by they I mean I think Fox when they do the art and metadata, so it may not be the most organized collection. There's a Solana shake and a beer, and then I think a couple of kinds of Gatorade and water. So pick your poison there?
I saw the gold drink, which I think is pretty fire. I probably have to read that.
Hell yeah.
and then the secret ice cream.
Word. Do you want to chug a beer real quick?
Dude, let me see if I have one. Do I have a beer?
Oh, you gotta have a beer.
I'm honestly pretty down. I'm not like. Let me see if
we're gonna record it though. If you do.
Oh really?
Yeah, dude. Come on. I mean, we don't have to, but like, it's for the brand.
Let me see if I have one.
Let me see what you got, and I'll go get one.
Let's say, hey, yeah, I got the Douce with me on deck, like always.
Stay with the Douce.
Yes, sir.
And chapter. Yo, all right. So we introed this shout-outs on DeGodCast thing with the Google form this week. We thought it'd be a cool idea, for the community members to chuck a quick shout-out to the boys, make it fun, funny, dirty, whatever you want. And we'd read them real quick at the end of the show. Being one dust equals one dust, motherfuckers. We didn't really take into account the USDC price of a shout out. So maybe they were on a little bit of the pricey side, and maybe we'll drop them down a little bit next week. But we do have 2 shout outs from the boys for the boys. The first shout out is from Not Finn, and it reads quite simply, Finn is so cool. Definitely not from Finn, by Finn, for Finn. Love you, brother. And the second one that we got is from the boy Beam at B33M. And it is his hashtag DFitness group. A lot of you guys are in it. I see you out there. And it reads, you always have time for the things you put first. Please include some exercise in your life. Join hashtag DFitness. Sharpen your body. Sharpen your mind. From Beam. All right. Love you guys. We out.